Pitts Live. Southwest Florida, welcome back to Lee Pitts Live. We have a special guest here who's calling in from another part of the country. He's Chris Anderson. You may have heard that name before. That's Detective Chris Anderson. If you watch television on a regular basis, you saw him on the first 48 television show. And now he has his own TV show where he's the center of attention along with his partner as a detective on a show called Reasonable Doubt that you can catch at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central on the Investigation Discovery Channel. This is Lee Pitts Live, and of course, I'm the host, Lee Pitts. We have him here now, the star. Detective Anderson, welcome to Lee Pitts Live.
Hey, thank you, Lee. I appreciate you for inviting me, sir.
Where are you talking to us from?
I'm calling you from my home. I'm still here in Birmingham, Alabama.
Now, when you guys hear him say Birmingham, Alabama, and of course he goes out to California somewhere to shoot the show. When he says Birmingham, Alabama, you television audience, you know I'm from Birmingham. You probably say, well, do you know Detective Anderson? Yes, I know Detective Anderson. He was a little snot-nosed kid running around in the Collegeville housing projects when I was around 13 years old. Give them a little background first. His uncle is Andrew Anderson, who's one of my best friends, who I mentored as a kid. He's about 4 years younger than me. And his dad is Houston Anderson. We called him Beaver. Beaver, I'm shouting you out. Bruce, all of you cats over there, Andretta, Sharon, all of them who lived across the street from me, or I lived across the street from them. They were like my role models in the Collegeville housing projects. And Beaver, Houston Anderson, produced the detective that we see on TV today, who's gone on to be a star, man. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. Congratulations to you too, man.
Hey, what do you remember about running around in Collegeville projects, man, when you come over to visit?
Oh, man. That was a fun time for us. I think because my grandmother had so much family there, we always had brothers and sisters who were actually our cousins, but we had a lot of family there. I remember that atmosphere. We really didn't know exactly how poor or how broke we were.
The fact that you have a background in the inner city and being able to take that background growing up in the inner city and the different things that happens in the inner city, you went on to become a detective, and now you're a television detective. When we see you on television doing what you do as a detective, are you acting, or is this like are you playing to the camera at all?
No, man, I'm not an actor. I don't know how to act. I don't know the first thing about it. I'm a cop. I'm a Collegeville raised Birmingham boy, cop. That's it. That's all I do.
When you got the call to be cast in the role in Reasonable Doubt, what was that like for you? Can you hear me?
Hey, I hear you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said when you got the call to be cast in the role as the Detective Anderson in Reasonable Doubt, what was that like for you?
Oh man, it was a total shock because I had just turned in my paperwork to retire from Birmingham and to go into my dream job. That was the only reason that I retired so early. But sometimes our plan is God's plan. So I just I took it in stride. I went ahead and jumped into the opportunity, and it's been the greatest experience of my life, honestly.
Well, let's take a look at a clipping of you in actual work on A Reasonable Doubt. What are we going to look at right now?
So the clip that we have queued up is the interview with myself and a convicted person by the name of David Johnson. David Johnson was 15 years old when he was first questioned by police, but 2 years later, he was arrested for the murder. Now, David's case is very, very unique because there are a lot of things that happened in this episode that we didn't agree with. But, at the end of the day, he was convicted, and we found that it was probably a good conviction.
Okay, let's take a look.
New Year's Eve, 2009. Take me back to that night.
There was kind of a little get-together going around down there at Matt Marshall's house.
How often did you hang out with Matt Marshall?
That's the first time I met Matt Marshall. The girls were drinking liquor. The guys were supposed to be drinking beer.
So what about you? Were you drinking?
I don't remember drinking, but everybody, like in the transcripts, everybody says I was drinking. Let's go ahead and say I did.
Around about what time was this?
At this point in time, it's about New Year's night because it's just about when everything is going down. Matt Marshall's in the back room and he runs in saying, Tonja's called, she's being jumped, we need to go pick her up. He seemed real serious about it.
What's being said inside the vehicle?
Nothing was said while we drove down there.
I can't believe nothing was said.
I mean, it is, I guess, kind of hard to believe, but it's a long time ago. Maybe there was some words, but it wasn't anything that would have, like, stuck out.
So did you see Matt Marshall or your brother grab any type of weapon or anything like that?
No, I knew my brother had a knife. I mean, we both got birthday gifts from our dad.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I had a pocket knife.
How big was his pocket knife?
The blade was probably that long.
Now, when I saw you just now, Detective, doing what you were doing with him, what is that called? Is that a cross-examination? Is that what kind of style was that? What is that called in your business?
Basically, that's just an interview. I want to find out from him, what actually happened that night, see if he can recant to me exactly what he told the detectives that night, see if his story's changed, certain things of that nature.
Okay. Now, what did you surmise from that conversation?
After talking to David, I figured out that he believed everything that he was that he said to me. He didn't give me any of those telltale signs that I look for that he's lying. I thought he was very, very honest in everything that he said, but just the case did not go his way. It didn't really go like I thought it should go.
Now, the fact that you mentioned lying, us laymen who watch law enforcement go about what they do, we think that sometimes you guys give people a lie detector test. How much do you guys rely on things like lie detector tests?
Well, the lie detector tests, in all honesty, they're inadmissible in court, so we don't rely on it much at all, especially when you're talking to a defendant in a case. But what we look for is, you've talked to me as an investigator, I've talked to so many different murderers that, I can pretty much tell by things that you do naturally by just sitting down talking to you and watching your movements, whether or not you're lying or you believe what you're telling me.
Interesting. Now, you say you can pretty much tell that's based on experience?
That's based on experience. I've talked to a lot of murderers. I've talked to a lot of guilty people. I've talked to a lot of innocent people. So, it's just based on experience.
When people tune in to your television show and see you and your partner do what they do, what do you hope they will take from the show?
Each episode is completely different, and the take of the shows and what you can learn from the shows. Like David, the case with David, he was just out with his brothers and his brother and another guy ended up stabbing someone and murdering him. David's brother and the guy that was with him, they were both convicted right off, but they took the police department or the investigators took 2 years before they could actually get up enough evidence to charge David with anything. So, there's a lot of things that you can learn. I want kids, if you watch that episode with David, you need to watch your company, the type of company you keep. And there's other episodes. Every episode is something completely different.
Now, the people who are in the episode, the criminals or the suspects, you have different ones from all over the country, or are you focused in one state or city?
No, we go all over the country. We've had episodes, and we've worked on cases in California. We've worked on cases in New Orleans. We've worked on cases in Michigan, just all over the country.
Now, these cold cases, are these just new cases, or what are these?
These are cases where there has been an accusation of a wrongful conviction. The family members feel as though that the person that I'm talking to, like David, has been wrongfully convicted of murder.
How personal do you take the business of getting to the point, finding out what's really went down in this? Is it a personal satisfaction?
Oh yeah, it's very personal. I've always, even when I was investigating homicides, I always wanted to find out the truth, to get to the bottom of the actual truth and make sure that the person that stands accused of this actually was responsible for this murder. And I take the same type of mindset into reasonable doubt. I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to get to the exact truth.
Well, man, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of your television show. Let's give finally again how people can tune in and watch you on TV.
Reasonable Doubt airs on Wednesday nights at 10, 9 Central on the Investigation Discoveries channel. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you, Lee, for giving me this opportunity.
Well, I'm just happy that you came out of our neighborhood and being a role model and a celebrity and somebody that we can be proud of. And I would have thought the little snot-nosed kid like you running around trying to get a cool cup and an ice cream cone would grow up to be a fancy detective that you are and end up on television.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.